I want to welcome Ruzbeh Bharucha to the satsang. Welcome Ruzbeh ji. Welcome to Sadhu Vaswani Center Atlanta. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm honored that you all thought of me, and I'm absolutely honored to be here.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. Like I just mentioned, everybody was saying that you're going to have lots of fun with Ruzbeh. So how are things with you there at in your hometown?
Everything is fine. Everyone is coping. Everyone is hoping that we conquer and we come out successfully unscathed. That the COVID virus teaches us to be more compassionate and more loving towards one and all. And I think we can learn from this small virus how fragile we are as humans.
Absolutely.
And how we should be at the feet of our Goddess God Guru. I think if we have learned anything from this, it should be this message, that we are fragile, and without them and without their blessings, we are nothing.
We are nothing, absolutely. So, Ruzbeh, many a times, we all know that we all want to meet our guru and we always seek for one. Millions of us know Dada Vaswani, as we fondly call him as Dada. We know him that he was extremely approachable. But there's this undefined aura and intimidation for most of the common man that when they hear about a guru. But Dada dispelled all that. So we all wanted to know the first time when you heard about Dada Vaswani, what was the first thought that came to your mind?
When Krishnaji and Naresh contacted me that they would want me to write a book on Dada, my first question to them was, have you spoken to Dada? Has Dada given his approval? I mean, don't ask me. You have to ask Dada whether he wants someone like me to write on him. So my first reaction was, why are you asking me? You ask Dada. If Dada says yes, I will come running. And then they told me that no, they have spoken to Dada and he is read the Fakir and he would be happy. And, I felt humbled. I felt truly humbled.
And that's how we got this book.
Yes. I remember the first time I went to meet him. Of course, you're going to meet such a renowned, loved guru. And I had butterflies in the stomach. Like, what if he sees me and says, no, you are not right for writing this book? And, but when I met him, I felt I was meeting a child actually. There was such humility in him, so much of love, as though I had known him all my life. Not for a moment did he make me feel that he is the guru and I'm just a, normal human being. Not for a moment did he make me feel smaller, of no consequence. He made me feel one with him. And there was that shyness in him, There was that quaint shyness in him, as though like a small child. And the first thought that came to me is, this soul is not meant for the world.
Wow.
There is something so innocent about him, something so pure about him, that he is out of this world. He is not meant for this world. And every time I would tell him that, Dada, you're okay with me writing your book? And he would say, yes, whatever Sadhu Vaswani wants, whatever Sadhu Vaswani wants. I told him, I said, but what do you want? And he looked at me and he said, Ruzbeh, I want whatever Sadhu Vaswani wants.
Wow. So, Ruzbeh ji, the title of this book, A Perfect Disciple, A Reluctant Master. I must be very honest with you that when I got this book, in fact, this copy was released by Dada's precious hands, and I got the first copy here while he was here on his visit. I kept staring at the title for some time, and I always wondered that whenever I meet you, I'm going to ask you, As to how did you think about this title? What brought you to this moment?
See, I'll tell you what. From the first day I met Dada, till my last meeting with Dada, he always made it very difficult for me to touch his feet. And he would tell me, no, I am not a guru. I am the disciple of Sadhu Vaswani. Sadhu Vaswani is the guru. And I would say yes. But I told him many times, I said, Dada, you are a guru to millions. He would say, no, they are all my family. They are all my friends.
Beautiful.
Until the last day, he never once accepted that he was a master. So for me, this title came very organically. That he was a very, he was a perfect disciple, but a very reluctant master. So, and I asked him that, how's the title? And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, perfect. So for me, that was a green signal that I could go ahead with this title.
You just gave the little pause here, and just before the start of our session also, we had this 2 minutes of silence. Now, I have had tons of people giving me questions, asked Ruzbeh ji about this question, that question. I said, whatever comes forward, we'll discuss and talk. And because we all want to know about Dada, we know him as the spiritual leader. He gave us so much of information and guidance. But then for you, he was a subject. You went there thinking that you're going to write a book, or at some point there would have been various thoughts. But when you talk about silence, what did silence mean to you when Dada's silence came, when you asked a question and he just looked at you? In your mind, did you think, oh, did I ask the right question? Because I believe there's no wrong question according to Dada. So what was the silence, and what does silence mean to you today and then, both?
See, I'll tell you what. I'm a follower of Sai Baba of Shirdi. And Baba has many times when people come and say, Baba, give us a mantra, give us a mantra. And give us a mantra so that we can handle life. And Baba always says, okay, I'll give you a mantra. And the mantra is called shut up. The mantra is basically go into silence and then come forth from silence. When I was speaking to Dada, I remember one day I asked him that, Dada, when you had a problem and you went to Sadhu Vaswani, how did Sadhu Vaswani guide you? And he looked at me and he said, Ruzbeh, every time I went to Sadhu Vaswani and asked for guidance, he would tell me, go sit there in silence, and the silence will give you the answer. Okay? He once told me, and I told him, but it's damn difficult,
Difficult, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult to sit in silence. He said, yes, that is why you need to practice it.
Okay.
He said, if you want to learn a car, can you just sit down and start driving a car? I said, no. He said, same way, Ruzbeh, when you want to inculcate silence in your life, you need to practice it. Then he told me that initially when you sit in silence, two things will enter you. One is karma mauna, and the other is smriti mauna. So I looked at him, I said, Dada, you are saying words which are flying above my head. So he told me, karma mauna is when you are sitting in silence, suddenly a thought will come. I have to, after this, go and cook a meal. I have to send this report. I have to email this. I have to go for shopping. So anything to do with work is karma. That which is breaking your silence is called karma mauna. He told me Smriti Mona is when thoughts will start entering your mind. She said this, he did this. So he said, Ruzbeh, as you enter silence, these two monas will come, karma and smriti, and you have to go beyond them too. But the best part of Dada is, after giving me all this lecture, he told me, I am not saying it. Sadhu Vaswani used to say it. Yeah, you know, there was something so genuinely childlike about Dada Vaswani. There was something genuinely, when he used to smile, his eyes would crinkle with joy, and I have not seen anybody like him. You know, his smile was infectious.
Absolutely. Ruzbeh, when you were meeting him and the first time and subsequent times, all the questions, the conversations that you were having, of course, we have the videos, we have the books, but there's something about that particular moment or the series. Did you ever have this moment of deja vu with him and feel, you know what, I've lived this moment with him and there's something beyond? Because the way you're looking at him, we often notice there's something beyond. There's more than the conversation. There's also some silence which speaks a lot. Please share some light on that particular deja vu moment if you ever experienced with him.
I'll tell you what. Every time I sat down with Dada, I used to ask myself that what good karma have I done? What have I done to deserve being able to sit with this giant of a soul and have a one-to-one conversation every other day? How many people are that fortunate? Every time I would sit with him, he used to remind me to be a better human being. Not by words, just by his presence, just by his conduct. If I've learned anything from Dada, it is not how to be a guru, but how to be a perfect human being. You know, you forgot that he was a guru. You just knew that you were in the presence of divinity. Not because he could perform miracles, not because he was very powerful, nothing of that sort. His gentleness, his humility, his love made you want to be a better human being.
You just mentioned a beautiful word here, miracles. I do feel sometimes, you know, there's this misconception that any guru or the gurus that you follow, they have done all these sadhanas not to do miracles in our life, right? They have done all these sadhanas to evolve as a guru and, of course, give the teachings so that we learn from them. And coming back to also the point where you were sitting with him and talking to him, he said, make a better human being, make you feel good. And on the lighter note, I do see that after a couple of videos, you started sharing and, you know, dressing up pristine, just like Dada. And you've been pretty vocal about it. I think it's not the body, it's the soul that matters. And that's what Dada was looking through.
Yeah. No, we used to have a lot of fun. He used to be so beautifully, you know, immaculately present. And Priya used to make a shawl proper, and I would go shaven, long hair. And one day I told myself, I'm looking like this is Beauty and the Beast, you know.
But the beauty of the entire thing was Dada was just looking at you because he was seeing the soul there.
When I am about to die, one of the few things I will cherish is my time with Dada.
Absolutely. Beautiful time that he spent.
It was surreal. It was surreal.
Share with us some moments where, you know, a day passed by, you knew that you're going to meet Dada today, and we all have our days, good, bad, ugly, nice, everything fantastic. And you went there, maybe a white lie or a thought that you felt, hey, this is what I've not done nice today. It could be anything. It could be very minute or big. And you went and sat in his presence. What would run through your mind? And what would he experience?
I'll tell you one thing. Since I cancelled an appointment with Dada, because that day in the morning I lost my head and I was very angry at somebody. And I erupted and I reacted. And I told myself, you know what? I can't meet Dada. I cannot meet Dada like this. I don't want to carry these vibrations to him. Another thing is, throughout a meeting, I had to be very careful that I shouldn't fall ill. I should cough cold so that I don't pass it on to Dada. It just came about. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He made you feel like protecting him. Though he's a great guru, you know, there was something so vulnerable about him that you felt like protecting him. You felt like cheering him.
The protection and compassion, do they go hand in hand? And of course, we know our dear Dada, he was so compassionate. And of course, great promoter of Shakahari, that is vegetarianism.
Yeah.
Now, today, in today's life, chocolates to sofa sets to, you know, school bells to anything, we have some portion of, you know, meat coming in some forms.
Yes.
So share some light about these kind of conversations that you had with Dada. And of course,
once I told Dada, told that, you know, Dada, I'm very sorry, but I'm not a vegetarian. And he looked at me and he said, you may not be a vegetarian, but you are a very, very decent human being. And for me, that is more important. And he said, a time will come when automatically you will not feel the need to kill to eat. And he said, but don't flog yourself for that. There are various ways to reach God. And God is not only secured or procured through vegetarianism. So he made you feel, even though he was so big on vegetarianism, he didn't make you ever feel as though you are inferior or, you know, you have done something wrong. I remember once I was kind of depressed. Certain people had done certain things to me and I was feeling a little hurt. I put on a brave face. I went, sat down with Dada, joked with him. And then he looked at me and he said, Ruzbeh, don't worry. You're on the path of God. Many people are going to try and pull you down. Many people are going to try and hurt you. Just forgive them. Think that they are your children, and as you would forgive Meher for anything she does, forgive them too. And we had not spoken, there was no conversation, nothing. I don't know how he understood. He just knew by the greatness of his divinity that I was hurting inside.
Wow.
So, you know, and of course, when you talked about the silence, yes, there was a time where we could understand each other by being silent. You know, there was that communication between us. Which words could not capture. It was more of silence capturing it. You know, you just look me in the eye and I knew, okay, this is what he's trying to tell me. All the while trying to underplay his greatness, all the while trying to not let anyone see his true magnificent self. And that was Dada. That was Dada.
That's Dada. See, many of us have had the opportunity to see his divine presence. Some of us have moved on. Some of us are still hung on to this soul and energy. But there are millions who are just joining us and understanding Dada. How would you define him in a couple of words here to say, you know, humility, simplicity, compassion? Apart from that, there's this immense level of curiosity that has been generated through this conversation and through the videos that I wish we had met him. And sometimes people think that they're lucky. Sometimes people think they're not lucky. But getting to know about him by itself is completely a boon. What do you say about it?
First of all, Dada was humility personified. I mean, that's it. I have never met an individual as humble as Dada. And I will be very surprised if I ever meet another soul as humble as Dada. Okay? Number two, Dada could be a child with a child, could be a youngster with a teenager, could be a scholar among scholars, could hear without you talking what your problem was. He fit into every mold. There was no generation gap between Dada and anybody. He made an 80-year-old, an 18-year-old, and an 8-year-old all feel comfortable.
All feel comfortable.
You know, that was who Dada was. You know, his smile, his chuckle. I miss those two things most about him now.
That is what first comes to our memory first.
Yeah, many times I rewind and go through our videos just to see Dada smile and chuckle.
But what about the scenes and situations behind the camera? You know, did you always go prepared with your questions, or Dada would lead you towards the question to ask for the day? Did you always have some debates off the camera?
No, see, it's a very simple thing. I went with questions. But sometimes before the camera was switched on, Dada and myself would start talking. And even after the camera got switched on, we would just continue talking about that topic only. First of all, you must understand, Dada was very, very shy about talking about his own self. To get him to talk about himself was a task. In fact, I remember talking about this in another lecture of ours. Once I went to Sadhu Vaswani's Samadhi, I prayed to Sadhu Vaswani that, you know what, I'm trying to write a book here. Will you please tell your disciple to talk to me properly? And I went to and met Dada, and Dada came and he looked at me and he said, I was getting ready, and Sadhu Vaswani told me that I should open up to you. Why did you go and complain to him?
So you had a couple of debates there with him off camera.
Yes. See, you know what? I will not call them debates. I will call them conversations, because neither Dada or I want to impose our views on anybody. So I think that allowed us to share our thoughts more openly without trying to impose them. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And today...
So there was no debate. We never had any kind of a moment where I felt, oh God, now what? He was always very open. Like so many times I would tell him that... I would ask him a particular question, and he would look at me and say, Ruzbeh, those questions only a guru can answer. I don't have an answer to that.
Wow.
He said, I am just a normal man. I don't have an answer for that. You know, he was that humble. If he didn't know of a topic, he would say, no, Ruzbeh, I have not read. I'm unfortunately not read anything on this topic. So he didn't try to faff around. He didn't try to show his greatness. He didn't try to show he was all knowledgeable. Nothing. Just very straightforward question answers.
Beautiful.
If he felt he didn't know something, he would tell me, Ruzbeh, I don't know this.
This is nice. So 25th of November, we all will be observing Meatless Day, and it is a beginning. I mean, for many, it is a journey, and it is a life, and it is a lifestyle. And we're talking about compassion. How would you define the moment when Dada was explaining compassion? What were the circumstances? You know, the questions to a common man always comes, you know, whether it's a mosquito or to eat a meat on your plate. Compassion has to come from all different angles. Please throw some light about your conversations with him. And we really want to see all these moments through your eyes today.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I think the time when I saw pain in the other's eyes was when he was describing to me the last years of Sadhu Vaswani. Okay. Dada was of compassion personified. So he was compassionate in everything. But tell me, did you see pain in his eyes? Yes, I saw pain in his eyes when he talked about the last 5 years, 4 months of Sadhu Vaswani being on bed. I could make out that, it has not left him yet. It has not left him yet. When he told me that every 10 minutes he would wake up with twitching going on, spasms going on, because his right hip bone had broken. And when I asked him that, why didn't he get operated, Dada? And he said, what to do? He told me that if I get operated, I will die. So how could I tell him to get operated? And see the irony. The last few years of Dada's life, even he was on bed. So he repeated what his guru went through, suffering with dignity. Like he told me, when I asked him once, Dada, how are you going through this whole, you were such an independent soul how are you going through this being on bed? And he told me, Ruzbeh, let me tell you what my Sadhu Vaswani told me. When I asked him the same question, he said, the best way of going through pain is, first of all, telling yourself, I am not the body. Okay? Then telling that part of the body, it is all right, you're going through your karma. Go through your karma peacefully. And third thing is telling God, thank you for this experience. Give me the pain, but don't let anybody else go through pain. I mean, these are such profound words. These are such profound words.
And that's where compassion comes in from. And
that is where, what else? This is the highest form of compassion. Where you're telling God, it's okay, I'm in pain, give me more pain, don't let anybody else be in pain.
Like they say, we treat others the way you want to be treated. So
yes, but here you are saying, don't let anybody else be in pain. Give me the pain, it's all right. Because you are treating pain also as God's grace on you. There's a term that Sadhu Vaswani used to use, which Dada used to often say, anguished heart throbs for God. You see, when we don't have any trouble, we forget God.
Right.
But when we are in agony, when we are in anguish, we get closer to God. So this is who Dada was. But he never once took any credit. He would always say, my Sadhu Vaswani has told me this. My Gurudev has told me this. He would never take credit for anything. Not once has he said, I am telling you this. No, never. He would say, a Fakir told me, a Dervish told me, Sadhu Vaswani told me. Never Dada Vaswani. Never Dada Vaswani. And that was the greatest quality of Dada.
Wow. Ruzbeh, you just mentioned about surrender. The thought just comes to my mind, let's maybe get this also and understand that when you surrender to God, to the Almighty, to the Guru, but they also say God helps those who helps themselves.
Yeah.
Please put some light on that thought.
See, the philosophy is simple. Whether it is Sadhu Vaswani, Dada Vaswani, Sai Baba of Shirdi, the philosophy is very simple. Give your 100% to every moment and leave the rest to the wisdom of your Goddess God Guru. So what are you surrendering? You are surrendering the fruits of the result.
Mm-hmm.
Where you are telling your master, I will give my 100% to this, remaining I leave it to your wisdom, whether I succeed, fail, whether it is a hit or a flop, jo hona hai, I have left it to you. And that is what, that was the philosophy of Sadhu Vaswani, that was the philosophy of Dada Vaswani. In everything, find God, in everything, serve God, and in everything, leave everything to God.
See, in all this conversations that you were having with Dada, of course, you would have your little breaks, and we are having the vision, the darshan of Dada through this conversation and through your eyes. All those things, the moments that happened behind the camera.
Yeah.
How about a moment where you shared a meal or a drink with him, or some, you know, whatever his beverage was at that point, and what would happen in those little break moments?
You know what? We never,
jokes.
You know, we never took a break.
You never took a break? Wow.
If we sat down for an interview, it was done. Whether it was 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, there was no break.
Wow. See, this is what we all wanted to know.
Whenever I sat down with him, he would first ask me, Ruzbeh, you'll have something? Every time, huh? How are you, Ruzbeh? How is Meher? Do you want a cup of tea?
Mm-hmm.
I would say, no, Dada, I am fine. Then I would tell him, do you want anything? He would say, no, even I am fine. And that is how our interviews would begin. See, there was nobody more caring than Dada. I have spoken about this many times. Every time my interview ended, he would, Krishnaji, give prasad for Meher, Ruth's daughter. So every time I met him, he would send some blessed chocolates or something or the other for Meher. And if I would go to Dada, the first thing Meher would say, what does Dada send for? Confident. She was so confident that Dada won't forget her. However busy he was, sometimes he was not well. I could make out he was not well. He would never forget this. Two things. First is, how are you, Ruzbeh? Do you need anything? Have you eaten? Do you want anything? And the last thing was, please give prasad for Meher. Whether we were with 10 people or whether we were with 50 people. Common
blessed
thing.
Child, blessed child. Ruzbeh, you mentioned that, you know, of course, you being a filmmaker, documentary maker, we have these scorching cameras and lights, and, you know, many a times I'm pleased to enlighten at what time of the day would you have these conversations with him. And what about the heat? You have mentioned that most of the times the room used to be very hot, but yet the pristine look on his face, never a little question.
I remember the first time I walked in the kutia for the interview with Dada. And the kutia had become like a Hollywood set, you know. They wanted to give it the green light effect and all that. And Dada came in. And then Dada sat down, I sat down next to him. Then Dada looked at me and said, I feel I am in a movie set. And I think I'm in a movie set. Then he's telling me, who is the film producer out here? So I said, Dada, we'll have to get our kutia back. He said, yes, I agree with you. Let's get the kutia back. It used to get very hot, very hot. And we started shooting during summertime. And the doors used to be shut of the kutia. And, but Dada was untouched. Not once did he say, it's too hot. You know, what is this? Nothing. He would sit down, then he would smile, then we would talk for a minute or two. If we had more time, we would giggle around like small children about some joke or the other. And then he would start. And many times I felt he was not well, many times. And I would tell Dada, let's cancel the shooting today. And then he would say, no, Ruzbeh, I enjoy talking to you. Let's talk. You know, he was so sweet. I mean, If someone would say, no, tomorrow we will not do the shooting, he would say, no, I enjoy talking to Ruzbeh, let's talk. So
it's been
he
some
made
time. Sorry.
He made you feel important. He made you feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people have this quality. Not many people have this quality.
Ruzbeh, some time has passed since you've made the book and these conversations and videos. I'm sure there are moments at night or morning when you wake up and sometimes you hear his voice, you feel that little energy coming to you, giving you the answers, a question and an answer, a situation. But do you ever feel that there was something else that you wanted to talk and ask him and you missed out and you wanted to, or you feel that you asked him everything that you wanted to talk?
See, I'll tell you what. From a spiritual point of view, I have tried and covered all the topics that could be covered.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there were a lot of topics on the paranormal, the occult,
mm-hmm.
life after death, I would have liked to talk about. Okay? But for some reason, his humility kept coming in between that. He would say, Ruzbeh, I don't know. He never really opened up for these topics. When I would ask him, Dada, what about out of body? Have you experienced it? He would say no. And he would, just keep quiet. And I would know that he didn't want to talk about it. So yes, if Dada was in the physical body and I had the opportunity to again write a second volume, mm-hmm. I would have focused on a lot of mystical topics. The first book was on practical topics.
Practical topics, okay.
Yes, the second book would have been a lot of mystical topics.
Now, as a writer, as a filmmaker, as a documentary maker, you have your subject. You feel that you've done justice at some point. Sometimes there's always some incomplete moments, which we just discussed about. Yeah. But as a person, how do you feel about it when you keep these two aspects side by side? Ruzbeh, the writer, and the person.
I'll tell you what, I never treated Dada as a subject. For me, he was never a subject. For me, he was Dada. Mm-hmm. Okay, for me, he was a very special child of God.
Beautiful.
For me, he was a very close friend. Someone who I knew would not judge me, but understand me.
And that's all we want.
Yeah, and for me, he was never a subject. I never treated him that. Mm-hmm. Even now, I feel sad for one thing, that there are a lot of talks that we have had which have not seen the light of the day, They have yet not been broadcasted. Mm-hmm. I wish they get broadcasted. There are innumerable talks that we have had which have not been broadcasted. I wish someday they are broadcasted. It'll make me feel nice.
We look forward to that. Ruzbeh, I know the time is also a limit here for us, but nevertheless, I'm enjoying this conversation. I want to go through that day, the last day of the shoot when you were making your notes. Just relive that moment with us and let us experience that when you were saying thank you and you're,
I was in serious depression. He made it out. He realized it. And he told me, he said, if you think you're sad, Ruzbeh, I'm sadder. And even there, his humility and compassion came out.
Beautiful.
He said, if you are feeling sad that this is the last interview, Ruzbeh, I feel sadder that I won't be able to see you that often again. And he told me, which was very, it broke my heart. He said, try and remember me. I know your life is very busy, but try and remember me.
I think this is exactly how I feel at this moment. Thank you so much, Ruzbeh ji, for your time and the darshan of Dada through your eyes through this satsang. And you mentioned about silence, vegetarianism, and seva, and everything that we could absorb at this moment. We are really looking forward to another session with you where we're going to go in more depths and continue this conversation. Just the feeling that you had on that day, I do have that this moment to thank you so much for this moment. And your message to all our viewers and our new joiners of this satsang about Meatless Day, if you want to convey a message, we really appreciate that.
Yes, I think compassion should be shown in every form. And what better way to show compassion? What better way to show our love and regard for Sadhu Vaswani and Dada Vaswani than, at least on November 25th, to abstain from killing any innocent animal to feed oneself. So that's my message.
Thank you, Ruzbeh ji. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless. Dada.
Dada.